Hi guys, how you doing today? This is D Durrell with D Durrell Life Solutions. Today we're going to talk about, as a content creator, dealing with stalking and how dealing with stalking can present itself at the beginning online, and then it can also filter to offline. Now, if you have been stalked, because I'm thinking most people who have been stalked have probably been out stalked offline, in which it was a crazy, in which it was an out of control partner, boyfriend or girlfriend, family member, secret admirer, ex-boyfriend, ex-girlfriend, ex-friend that don't want to, end the relationship, co-worker who has been infatuated with you that you don't know about. Things of that sort. Okay? And so, in this particular situation, and I can talk, and I thought about doing a live stream on this. I may create a live stream or do a premiere on this talking about it, or a vertical where I can talk about it in more detail, because I personally have never felt that I was ever stalked in my life until I began doing YouTube content. Okay? And being very green to social media, because prior to 2014, I very rarely engaged in social media activity. Very periodical, never consistent. I didn't began using, the first social media app that I ever used was, and this is going back, and was probably Black Planet, and that's when I was in college. But I was only on Black Planet when I would go to the college library lab, to type paperwork or to maybe browse the internet and look at some things or do some research before I had to go to class. And so, if I would go into that social media app, and at that time, Black Planet was, that was a new phenomenon at the time. And so, with that being said, that was the primary thing that I would use, and this was going back to maybe 2000. I'm telling my age now, maybe 97, 98, 99, maybe somewhere around that time. Once I got into the workforce, I may have dabbed a little bit into MySpace here and there. But outside of MySpace and outside of Black Planet, and to me, that's what we considered social media. Those were the only two. I mean, there may have been some other things here or there, but I was not highly involved with social media. The internet was primarily used for me for educational purposes. When Facebook came about, I did get a Facebook account, and so I was not acting as a content creator. I was acting as just someone who enjoyed it. Then also, maybe a few years later, around maybe 2007 to 2008, I began, a friend of mine who enjoyed watching backyard fights that I work with, he hit me to YouTube, and I started watching a little bit of YouTube, not very often, maybe a few times a month, or if something I need to learn how to do something, which would probably be maybe 5 or 6 times a year. I was not big on YouTube. I was not big on, even though I did look at Facebook a little bit more than YouTube, I wasn't on Facebook a lot either. And so I didn't begin using social media consistently until 2014, when I began watching a little bit of more of what YouTube had to offer as it related to the music aspect of things. And also I watched a lot of Nollywood, pro-black content, documentaries, things of that sort. Around 2015, I started watching a lot more sectors on YouTube. 2016, got heavy into it. And then I began to flirt with do what I want to become a content creator. And so about 6 months into it, I decided, okay, I'm gonna wait till 2017, the first of the year. I talked to my son, probably 3 or 4. My son at the time was probably around 10 or 11 years old or something like that. And he told me a good camera to get. I got a Nikon camera to use, which was, by the way, at the time it was a pretty decent camera. And I, was working on just using that camera until I decided to use it to create content. And so that's what I did. I engaged in trying to perfect the production, the topics that I wanted to talk about. And so that first month, I did a lot of content. I probably did about 3 to 5 videos a week, which is not a lot, but to me it felt like a lot. I probably did about 20 videos, and it was overwhelming. It was very time consuming. The editing that was involved in it. And I started to think twice about doing content creation. So in 2017, I probably created about 70 videos, which is probably like 6 videos, maybe 6 or 7 videos a month. About 5 to 6 videos, somewhere around 6 to 8 videos a month. Okay. I didn't begin to start getting any traction until maybe the latter part of 2017. And then in 2018, I promised that I would do more content, did more content. My views was pretty stable. And then something happened where I spoke on a controversial issue regarding a popular YouTuber in Houston. Then I began to get thousands of videos. Thousands of hits, thousands of reactions. And then from that point, there were people who saw the video in places. They were in certain areas where I would be at, in certain black spaces of YouTube, in black YouTube. But I was asked to do interviews, which I felt flattered. And so what I didn't understand, the more exposure that I got, not from my own channel, but the channel of others, I began to have parasocial relationships where I had ongoing people said that I met you, I found out about you through this person. And then I had people who wanted to reach out to me through my email. Okay, then I had some that actually wanted to talk to me offline after speaking to me for so often or seeing my videos. They wanted to actually get to know me a little better, per se. And so the latter half of 2018, I didn't realize that there were people who were actually stalking me. And when I'm talking about stalking, I was not aware that these people were stalking me. I was not aware that when I was doing certain content that was pro Pan-African or pro doing something for the community, there were people who were in the community and not in the black community that didn't like the fact that I was speaking from a pro-black nationalist standpoint, and the fact that I was a mental health professional who spoke and supported other mental health professionals who engaged in behavior that they found repulsive and they didn't like, and they felt like if I'm such a professional, then they wanted to police how I engaged online. And so I didn't realize that in 2018, the latter half of 2018, I want to say from September, I didn't notice that something was different as it related to the comments. And so when I start noticing comment changes, when there were the same 50 or more people, or let's say definitely 10 that would always send these long drawn out paragraphs as it relates to me, I was being stalked. And I noticed that being green in my negativity of the situation, I was open for interaction with any and everybody. Because I'm like, okay, this is a social media platform. You're supposed to have social engagement. But I didn't realize that social engagement and the more videos, particular videos that sparked their interest or triggered them emotionally, you was only feeding the beast. I was only feeding the beast. And in feeding that beast, the more videos, the more connected they felt, both positive and negative. There were people who years later I learned that were infatuated with me and I didn't know it. And they admitted to me that they had an infatuation with me. They felt connected to me. There were people talking about that they felt like I influenced their everyday life. There are people who nearly watch all of my videos repetitively. And I didn't learn this until probably 2019 or 2020 of things that may have happened a year or two without me realizing how these people felt about me. So guys, I'm, just kind of talking about that. Like, you don't know who is watching you. You don't know who is fascinated with who you are and want to know more about you. And there are people who have feelings, thoughts about you. And when you look at someone who's stalking you, in their mind, everything that they see online is the reality of who you are. And the problem with these parasocial relationships, whether you know you have a relationship with them or if in their mind you all have a relationship, what you think and feel about that person, or whether or not with the way you are approaching things, whether it's rational or irrational, it doesn't matter. It in their mind, it doesn't matter. All they know is that you're this person, and you present yourself. I feel connected to you. There's a sense of entitlement. I've done videos, and you can check out, I've done a series of videos on parasocial relationships and how those parasocial relationships can evolve into more traditional related relationships. Okay? And I've seen people who were stalked by people and didn't realize that they were being stalked. For me, there were people who I know, I've been stalked by several people. I've been stalked by people in several sectors. And because of my inconsistency with following, and that's the downside of being part of a sector, and particularly for this channel, I don't want this channel to be associated with any sector. I want this channel to be seen upon as in a realm of mental health related content, and there are independent content creators who are mental health professionals who educate on mental health. That's where I want to be. I don't want this channel where I'm connected to 20, 30 to 50 to or more content creators, and they're all simultaneously doing related content, and the viewers from one channel are connected to you from another channel, and then this group is against you, and then you're constantly it's a revolving door. And I'm fatigued. I'm suffering from basically sector fatigue, and that's why I made a decision to make this channel purely a pure outlet for me where I'm doing content. I'm in the business of doing content, and when you allow yourself to be in these spaces where you don't know who's watching you, who is looking up your information, who is illegally doing these things. They're not doing, a lot of this stuff is not done legally, but many of these people are doing legal, even though some things are public information. They are illegally doing things, and even if they are illegally doing things, doesn't make it right for you to feel like you have the right, because of someone not doing things to your expectations, that you should try to publicly humiliate them by exposing information about them that is nobody's business. And it has been difficult for me to fully commit to staying away from stalkers, or environments that produce stalkers. Let me correct myself. And one of the reasons is that I like to respond. And when I was under a particular, what was called the Godfather moniker, and people still call me that, and I, actually the last few days, I've been in certain spaces and just showing some support, and I gave some support monetarily. However, that support will not involve me creating that sector related type of content, because it's not real content. It's basically me roasting, talking about others, good, bad, or whatever, and then when they say something back, you repetitively go back and forth, and that's not real content. The average person on YouTube is not looking up content like that. A small minority of YouTube viewers want to see stuff like that, and usually it's by accident. So when I'm talking about stalking, I want us to kind of, and I'm going to go more into this, and then we're going to wrap up. I'll try to. When I'm talking about stalking, I'm meaning people who are illegally and legally seeking information on you as if they have the right to know everything about you. Because you want to understand, a stalker can be someone who supports you or wants to see your downfall. A stalker is someone that may want to romantically be involved in you. A stalker is someone who wants to know your every move, good, bad, or whatever. They just want to control you. They want to control you, and they want to understand your responses. They want to get you. They want to really, really get you, because in our essence, a lot of stalkers don't operate in a state of reality. And what they don't understand is that the person that they're stalking really is not interested in having a relationship with you. They're not, for the most part. Now, unfortunately, you can be friends with someone. You can have a relationship with someone. You can easily have a sexual relationship, on and off, or what have you, and don't know that the other person is truly stalking you and doing things against your will. Those are the risks that you take. And those risks are not only done on social media, that's real life. There are plenty of people who are in relationships that don't know that the person that you're with is really stalking you when you go to work. They're stalking you when you are out with friends. Anything where they're not involved, they're stalking you. So there's a variety of ways in which people function in this manner, not understanding that you are creating an environment in which the person that you're stalking don't want to interact with you. They don't want to have anything to do with you, and they don't feel safe with you being around. And unfortunately, guys, and as I talk about, this is based on my experience and the experience of others. I know content creators who have been stalked by people, and I am currently being stalked, and in the past have been stalked by numerous content creators, and not only content creators, but also being stalked by viewers and subscribers. And those are facts. The problem is that due to the fact that I have so many different things going on in my life, and when I go online, I didn't view it as being stalking because I was not emotionally and mentally so vested in trying to think in a manner where I'm questioning things and reevaluating every aspect of what environment I'm in. I purely at the beginning, the essence of me being on YouTube is to enjoy interaction with others and exchange ideas, information, even if it means comical, roasting, whatever in the past. Now it's strictly professional and professional related. But in the past, it was more of a social event of me being able to release and let my hair down and be and operate in a certain manner that is outside of who I am, even though some fundamental things about me present itself through the character. And when I invented the character that I had in such a way, I enjoyed it, because before I went into that character, I was not functioning in that manner. I was not, operating in such a way to let people know things about me. I was strictly focusing on the fact that I'm at the practice and I am Pan-African, I'm pro-black. I tried to reduce, I was minimal with swearing and saying curse words and things of that sort. I was very minimal with things like that. I was very minimal with back and forths and things like that. I allowed people to come on panels and things, and so I have several. I have several friends in other sectors, in sectors that they literally stopped having a presence on YouTube or even other social media platforms because of the harassment and the stalking of others. And they felt like it was not an enjoyable environment. Now, for myself, because I do enjoy doing content, but I don't enjoy doing content to the point where now you're focusing on me and you're focusing on people that I'm related to. You're focusing on people. You're trying to basically provide an unsafe environment for people that don't know that they're at risk. And so I had to make decisions. And I've made some decisions. And so I still function in some of these areas, but I'm not going to do content. I'm not going to do content, and I'm not going to respond. And so my advice to content creators who are in sectors or not in sectors, and you feel like some of the interaction is a bit exhausting for you and it's too much, my I would pretty much tell you to stop, to just stop, take a break, or to consider doing a different type of platform, either on a different social media platform or something like a podcast. I've actually played around with podcasts before in the past. I had a podcast years ago, and I may have created probably about maybe about 50 videos, podcast videos, and I took it down, and I actually was building a good base. I had over 300 subscribers to that watch me, and I was making a small little, making a little income you can make off of it, and so I enjoyed that. And I have other professionals that I know that do podcasts. Matter of fact, I just learned about a guy that I know that has been doing a podcast for several years. I didn't even know it, and he does well, and he enjoys it. It's simple, to the point, and it's not as time consuming as you are with being in sectors. Because being in a sector is time consuming, because the time consuming aspect of it is that you have to listen to so much content to stay abreast to what is going on so that you can actively create more content as it relates to the current events in that sector. But I'm going to tell you all, guys, and for those who have been stalked on social media, most of the stalking comes in the form of someone constantly watching your videos and responding to your videos and wanting certain things to happen to you bad or whatever. Okay, they're doing things to make the environment uncomfortable. The other position is that doxing becomes a number one tool for them, as far as any little thing that you have done or that's going on with you privately. These people feel like they have a right to report that to the world, as if, you know, it is my God's given right to let people know of the things that you're doing. And then they get upset if you respond back or you fight back legally. And unfortunately, I'm going to say this, guys, and I'm going to say this to those who've been stalked. I made the mistake of waiting years to start responding legally. And that was a big mistake. I'm going to tell you guys, when you feel like you're being stalked, I'm going to encourage you to immediately contact law enforcement at the local, state, federal level and put in as much paperwork as possible about this situation. And also, and to me, this was something I hate doing, and I still am kind of behind on that. I tried to go the YouTube route. The YouTube route of striking channels down, and that doesn't stop because YouTube is not consistent, and they pick and choose who they want to no longer want to operate. They'll take videos down, but they're very slow. They operate very slow and methodically. But when they do act, they act, and they just shut a bunch of people down. But going the YouTube route is secondary. And unfortunately, if you want someone to stop, you have to put in restraining orders, protective orders, all of these different things, man. And even to this point for me right now, being stalked by multiple people is just not, it's overwhelming, and it's exhausting. It's mentally exhausting. And so for me, I'm currently being stalked now. Like there's a lot of people putting information out about me. Then they're wondering why I'm not responding. And I'm like, why would I want to respond to things with people that, I have no real connection to you? Why should I have to answer for things that you think you have the right to know, or things that you feel I owe you that? I don't owe anybody anything. And they don't understand reality. They really don't understand. They're out of touch with reality. And unfortunately, when you're operating in these spaces for so long, it makes you numb, not only to what people do to you, but also what people may do to somebody else. Because you sit there and watch it, and you're equally as entertained. And that, to me, is a big problem, because there is a market for people who like to watch car wrecks, that like to watch disasters, they like to watch somebody get destroyed, they like to watch drama that revolves around someone's life and how they deal with it, or if everything comes crumbling down. And so I encourage those that if you're being stalked, immediately contact police, law enforcement. I have done so. I started doing things as of really 23. I did a couple of things, and then I got discouraged on it. And then 2024, I started doing some things. And then 25, I'm really in a point where I'm doing a lot of things. But 2024 was really the first year and that basically me 7 years into doing YouTube. Before that, I was doing the whole YouTube striking. Look, you will not discourage a stalker from stalking you by blocking them and all these, because there's so many things you can do. You can create new pages, you can create new channels, you can operate through somebody else's channel. That's the whole YouTube, playing the YouTube game is not going to stop a stalker. Now, I've never been stalked on like Facebook, Instagram, which are the other, and TikTok. I never have. However, I have seen where my name, I was stalked on blogs of people that were stalking me on YouTube. They had me in blogs. I did see some things on Facebook, but it was very little. But you know, it's not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling, and it discourages you from wanting to do content. And sometimes I really wonder whether or not I should have just left everything alone. But my ego, my mindset, as far as I'm not going to let anybody dictate what I do and don't do, that would kept me here. I should have stayed, but I should have, again, went into more healthier spaces, or just continue to put all of my energy into this channel, which is really what counts. At the end of the day, this channel provides help and education, and I'm a resource to others that would not know certain things as it involves in my profession. And my next step is, as I continue to do more consistent content, I'm going to open up and advertise memberships, so that for those that want more direct interaction with me about mental health, I'm going to incorporate sessions where I can answer all the questions you want for 30 minutes to an hour on certain mental health related. Now, it's not going to be therapy. I'm not selling. I'm not going to advertise therapy. But I am going to advertise consulting related things. If you're someone that's looking to open up a mental health or healthcare related facility or entity, I definitely, because I'm currently doing that now. I have several clients that I deal with right now that I'm helping to get them started, and I got some people function credentialed and things of that. So it's an ongoing process. But as far as counseling, I did provide some counseling for a couple of people that saw me on YouTube. It was very sporadic, but I find that it's more lucrative for me to provide consulting and training related and material related services, but also create memberships in which, if you have a membership, you will get more in-depth discussions and information on specific, very, very specific issues, even as it pertains to someone individually or someone you know. And I will expect, prior to setting that up, even when I do like some regular content that's going to be members only, if somebody sets up a consultation, I'm going to ask that they give me a list of topics to make it worth their while. I would want you to give me a list of topics so I can have myself prepared to answer those topics, and I will give detailed information. Also, part of that, I will give resources so that people can go and look up things and look up information and maybe research certain organizations that can route you in other directions as it relates to that issue. It doesn't just stop with the It doesn't just stop with me giving you information. So that is to pretty much how I feel about things as it relates to stalking. And for those who have been stalked, let's talk about it. That's going to be a common thing that I talk about on this channel. Hey, so this is going on. Let's have a discussion. Let's talk about it. Let's open the discussion But stalking is a problem in social media. Stalking is a problem on YouTube. And unfortunately, the state and federal laws are not up to par where they need to be. And that's the reason why this continues to go on. And the fact that YouTube has such a powerful and very well-oiled machine of a legal department that they legally shut a lot of things down. And that's why these things continue to go on. So guys, I appreciate you all for being here. This is D. Durrell with D. Durrell Life Solutions. Have a great day.